The taste of copper lingered in my mouth as consciousness crept back like an unwelcome visitor. My temples throbbed with a rhythm that matched neither my heartbeat nor the soft ticking of what sounded like an expensive clock somewhere in the darkness. Silk sheets caressed my bare arms, a sensation so foreign that my eyes snapped open, only to squeeze shut again as morning light pierced through floor-to-ceiling windows I didn't recognize. This wasn't my cramped studio apartment with its water-stained ceiling and rattling radiator. I forced myself to sit up, fighting waves of nausea that had nothing to do with the obvious hangover pounding behind my eyes. The room spun slowly into focus, cream-colored walls adorned with abstract art that probably cost more than I made in a year at the diner. A crystal chandelier catching rainbow fragments of sunlight, and furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum rather than someone's bedroom. The bed beneath me could have fit my entire apartment. My left hand felt heavy, wrong. I lifted it, and the world tilted sideways. A diamond ring. No, not just a diamond, but an obscene cluster of them surrounding what had to be a 3-carat center stone, claimed my ring finger like it had always belonged there. The band was platinum, delicate, yet substantial, with smaller diamonds trailing halfway around. It caught the light with every tremor of my shaking hand, throwing sparkles across the Egyptian cotton sheets. No, no, no. The whisper scraped past my dry throat. I tried to pull it off, but it fit perfectly, as if measured specifically for me. As if someone knew exactly the size of my finger. Fragments of the previous night floated through my mind like pieces of a shattered mirror, each one reflecting something that couldn't possibly be real. The hotel bar where I'd gone to celebrate my roommate's promotion, nursing a single martini I could barely afford. The stranger who'd appeared at the elevator when I was leaving. The way the world had suddenly gone soft around the edges, my legs failing me as strong arms caught me before I hit the marble floor. The bedroom door opened with barely a whisper of sound against plush carpet. But I felt the shift in air pressure, the sudden charge in the atmosphere that made every hair on my body stand at attention. He filled the doorway like a dark promise. Even through my confusion and growing panic, I couldn't deny that he was breathtaking in a way that seemed almost unfair. Maybe 28 or 30, with the kind of bone structure that belonged on magazine covers, sharp jaw, aristocratic nose, cheekbones that could cut glass. His black hair was slightly tousled, as if he'd run his fingers through it, and he wore a charcoal gray suit that had obviously been tailored to worship every line of his tall, powerful frame. But it was his eyes that trapped me, dark as midnight, burning with an intensity that made my stomach flip. They tracked over me with a possessiveness that should have been impossible between strangers, except the ring on my finger suggested we weren't strangers at all. "You're awake." His voice was velvet over steel, cultured with just a hint of an accent I couldn't place. He moved into the room with the fluid grace of a predator, perfectly at ease in his territory, carrying a tray with a crystal glass of water and what looked like aspirin. I was beginning to worry. "Who are you?" My voice cracked, betraying every ounce of fear racing through my veins. "Where am I? What?" I held up my left hand, the ring catching light like an accusation. "What is this?" Something flickered in his eyes. Amusement? Satisfaction? He set the tray on the nightstand with deliberate care, his movements controlled and precise. When he sat on the edge of the bed, I scrambled backward until my spine hit the headboard. The small distance didn't feel like nearly enough. "I'm Dante Moretti." He said his name like I should recognize it. And perhaps I should have. There was something about the way he held himself, the quiet authority that radiated from every gesture, that whispered of power most people never encountered. "You're in my home. Our home now. And that," he nodded toward the ring, "is your wedding ring, Isabella." The room spun. "My name is Bella. Just Bella. And we're not." The words tangled on my tongue. "I don't even know you. You knew me well enough last night." His hand moved toward mine, and I jerked away, pressing myself harder against the headboard. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "You said yes, Kara, in front of witnesses." "I was drugged!" The accusation burst out before I could stop it, and I immediately regretted it when his expression darkened like storm clouds rolling over the sun. "Careful." The single word carried enough warning to make my blood run cold. He stood slowly, adjusting his suit jacket with practiced ease. I don't take kindly to accusations. You had too much to drink. The champagne at the hotel bar, then the celebration afterward. You were quite enthusiastic about the whole arrangement. My mind reeled, searching for memories that felt like smoke slipping through my fingers. The elevator. Strong cologne mixing with something else. Something medicinal. The world tilting. Then, nothing. A void where the most important night of my life should have been. I want to leave. The words came out steadier than I felt. Right now. This is insane. People don't just wake up married to strangers. We're hardly strangers. He moved to the window, hands sliding into his pockets as he gazed out at what I could now see was an enormous estate. Manicured gardens stretching toward a tree line in the distance, a fountain shooting water into the morning sun. Your father owes me quite a substantial debt. You knew about it. We discussed it extensively. My father? Ice formed in my chest. My father's been dead for 2 years. He turned then, and the look on his face made my breath catch. It wasn't surprise. It was calculation, as if he was measuring exactly how much to reveal. Not your biological father, your stepfather. Marcus Chen. Marcus. My mother's new husband, who'd appeared in her life 6 months ago like a guardian angel when she was drowning in medical debt from her cancer treatments. Marcus, who'd insisted I attend that specific hotel bar last night to celebrate my roommate, who'd even given me the money for the martini. No. The word came out as barely a whisper. He wouldn't. My mother. Your mother is safe and well cared for. Her treatments will continue at the finest facilities in the country. The debt is cleared. Everyone wins. He returned to the bed, and this time when I tried to shrink away, there was nowhere left to go. His hand caught my chin, gentle but firm, forcing me to meet his eyes. You're under my protection now, Isabella. No one will ever hurt you again. The way he said it, like there were specific people who'd wanted to hurt me, sent chills down my spine. Please, I whispered, hating how my voice trembled. I don't understand any of this. Just let me go home. We can annul it. Pretend it never happened. His thumb traced my jawline, and I hated how my traitorous body responded to the touch, warmth blooming under my skin. There is no annulment. Divorce isn't an option either. The Moretti family doesn't believe in broken vows. His eyes dropped to my lips, and I forgot how to breathe. And after last night, after how you responded to me, he leaned closer, his cologne wrapping around me like invisible chains. You're mine now, Kara. Every breath, every heartbeat, every thought. Mine. A knock on the door shattered the moment. Dante pulled back, irritation flashing across his features before he composed himself. Enter. A woman in her 50s appeared, dressed in a simple black dress with a white apron. She kept her eyes downcast, but I caught the way they flickered toward me with something that might have been sympathy. Mr. Moretti, Mr. Salvatore is here. He says it's urgent. Dante's entire demeanor shifted, the possessive husband replaced by something harder, more dangerous. Tell him I'll be down in 5 minutes. The woman nodded and disappeared. Dante stood, straightening his tie with practiced efficiency. Maria will help you dress. There are clothes in the closet. I had them selected based on your size. At my shocked look, he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I've been watching you for some time, Isabella. Long before Marcus's debt became an issue. You think it was coincidence you were at that particular bar last night? The room felt like it was closing in. You planned this. All of it. I acquire what I want. He moved toward the door, then paused, not looking back. There are guards at every exit. The property is 15 miles from the nearest town. Your cell phone has been disposed of. You'll get a new one once you've accepted your situation. And Isabella? Now he did turn, and the look in his eyes made my blood freeze. If you try to run, I will find you, and I will be displeased. The door closed behind him with a soft click that might as well have been a prison cell slamming shut. I sat there trembling, staring at the ring on my finger. It was beautiful in its ostentation, but all I could see was a shackle made of diamonds and platinum. My mind raced through the implications. Marcus had sold me. literally sold me to pay off a debt to this man, this Dante Moretti, who spoke of ownership like it was his birthright. Who was he? The name Moretti tickled something in the back of my mind, a whisper of news articles glimpsed but never fully read, of names spoken in hushed tones at the diner, when certain men in expensive suits came in and ordered coffee at odd hours, their drivers waiting outside in cars with tinted windows so dark they seemed to swallow light. Maria returned, her arms full of clothing that looked more expensive than anything I'd ever owned. Designer labels peeked out from garment bags: Versace, Dolce & Gabbana, Valentino. "Mrs. Moretti," she said softly, and the title made me flinch. "Mr. Moretti insists you join him for breakfast in 30 minutes. I'm not Mrs. Moretti," I said, but even I could hear how hollow the protest sounded. Maria's eyes met mine for just a moment, and there was definite sympathy there, mixed with something else. Fear? Warning? "Would you like to shower first? It might help you feel better." I nodded numbly and let her lead me to an ensuite bathroom that was larger than most people's bedrooms. Marble everything, floors, counters, walls, a shower that could fit 6 people, with multiple rainfall shower heads, a clawfoot tub positioned beneath a skylight. It was the kind of luxury I'd only seen in magazines at the salon, where I could never afford to get my hair done, but all I could think about was whether the windows were locked. They were. The hot water did help clear my head, though it also revealed bruises I didn't remember getting, finger marks on my upper arms, a tender spot on my hip. My wedding night, apparently. A night I couldn't remember with a man who terrified me even as something dark and treacherous in my belly responded to his presence. Maria had laid out clothes on the bed. A cream-colored dress that looked deceptively simple, but felt like butter against my skin. Designer underwear that fit perfectly, and heels I'd never be able to walk in. Everything fit as if it had been tailored specifically for me. "How long has he been watching me?" I asked Maria as she helped me with the zipper. Her hands stilled for just a moment. "I couldn't say, ma'am. Please." I caught her hand, desperation making me bold. "I need to know what I'm dealing with. Who is Dante Moretti? What does he do?" Maria pulled away gently but firmly. "Mr. Moretti is a powerful man. He takes care of those under his protection." She moved to the vanity, picking up a hairbrush. "That includes you now. But what kind of power? What kind of business?" She began brushing my hair with practiced strokes, avoiding my eyes in the mirror. "The kind of business where questions are dangerous, Mrs. Moretti. The kind where loyalty is everything, and betrayal is—" She paused, selecting her words carefully. "Unforgiven. The Mafia." She didn't have to say the word for me to understand. I was married to a Mafia boss. The very thought should have been ridiculous, like something out of a bad movie. But the evidence was all around me. The guards Dante had mentioned, the way Maria moved with careful deference, the estate that felt more like a fortress than a home. "Your stepfather," Maria said quietly, as if reading my thoughts. "He borrowed money he couldn't repay. Mr. Moretti could have handled it differently. Instead, he chose this. You should be grateful. Grateful. For being drugged, married against my will, and imprisoned in a golden cage." I wanted to laugh, or scream, or both. The dining room took my breath away, even as dread coiled tighter in my stomach with each step. Crystal glasses caught morning sunlight streaming through French doors, casting rainbow patterns across a table that could seat 20. Dante sat at the head, reading something on a tablet, a cup of espresso at his right hand. 2 men in dark suits stood near the windows, their presence as subtle as loaded weapons. He looked up as Maria guided me in, and his eyes traveled over me with such blatant possession that heat flooded my cheeks. "Beautiful," he murmured, rising from his chair with fluid grace. "The dress suits you perfectly. It's not mine." The words came out sharper than intended. "None of this is mine. Everything here is yours now." He pulled out the chair to his right, waiting. When I didn't move, his jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Sit, Isabella. You need to eat." The guards shifted slightly, and I understood the unspoken threat. I walked to the chair on unsteady legs, hyper-aware of his presence as he pushed it in for me, his fingers brushing my shoulders. The touch sent unwanted electricity down my spine. "Leave us," he commanded, and immediately the guards and Maria disappeared, leaving us alone in the cavernous room. He returned to his seat, picking up his espresso with elegant fingers. "I imagine you have questions." "Questions?" A hysterical laugh bubbled up. "I have hundreds of questions, starting with how this is even legal. You can't just... People can't own other people anymore." "I don't own you." He set down his cup with a soft clink. "You're my wife. There's a difference. A wife who can't leave, who has guards watching her, whose phone was destroyed." I pushed scrambled eggs around my plate, my appetite non-existent. "That sounds like ownership to me." His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowning, then typed a quick response. Another buzz. His expression darkened as he read, and suddenly he was on his feet, that dangerous energy crackling around him like electricity. "I need to handle something." He moved toward me and I shrank back, but he merely tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, the gesture oddly tender. "Finish your breakfast. Maria will show you around the house. You're free to go anywhere on the property, but not leave it." His hand cupped my cheek, thumb stroking my skin with deceptive gentleness. "Where would you go, Kara? Your apartment has already been vacated. Your job at the diner, they've been informed you won't be returning. Your mother believes you've taken a position overseas, a wonderful opportunity you couldn't pass up." Each word was another bar in my cage. "You can't just erase my life." "I'm not erasing it. I'm improving it." He leaned down, his lips barely grazing my forehead, and I hated how my body betrayed me with a shiver. "No more double shifts, no more counting pennies for groceries, no more walking home alone at night through dangerous neighborhoods. You're a Moretti now. That name means something." Before I could respond, he was gone, leaving only the lingering scent of his cologne and the weight of everything he'd said. Maria returned minutes later, finding me still staring at my untouched plate. "Would you like to see the house, Mrs. Moretti?" I wanted to tell her to stop calling me that, but what was the point? "I want to see my mother. That's not possible right now." She said it gently, like she was talking to a child. "But I can show you to Mr. Moretti's study. There's a computer you can use to send her emails. Let her know you're well." Emails he would monitor, no doubt. Everything here would be watched, controlled, managed. But it was better than nothing. Fine. The house was even more overwhelming than I'd imagined. 3 stories of marble and mahogany, priceless art on every wall, a library that could rival a university's, an indoor pool that looked like something from a Roman bathhouse. Every room screamed money and power, from the wine cellar that held bottles worth more than cars, to the home theater with leather recliners that probably cost more than my annual salary. "This is excessive," I muttered, staring at a Monet, an actual Monet, hanging casually in a hallway. "Mr. Moretti appreciates beautiful things," Maria replied carefully. Is that what I was? Another beautiful thing for his collection? The study was all dark wood and leather, dominated by a massive desk and floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. A laptop sat open on the desk, already logged into a generic email account. My mother's email address was saved in the contacts. Of course it was. Maria hovered as I typed, trying to sound cheerful and normal while explaining my sudden new job abroad, how I'd be traveling and might be hard to reach, how the opportunity had come up so suddenly I hadn't had time to say goodbye properly. Every word felt like swallowing glass. "She'll want to video call," I said, staring at the screen. "That can be arranged, once you've settled in." Maria's tone suggested settled in meant accepted your situation. A commotion outside drew our attention. Raised voices, car doors slamming. Maria's face went pale. "Stay here," she ordered, rushing from the room, but I couldn't. I crept to the window, peering through heavy curtains at the circular driveway below. 3 black SUVs had pulled up, and men in suits were pouring out, surrounding someone. No, dragging someone toward the house. The prisoner's face was bloodied, his expensive suit torn, but he was fighting, cursing in what sounded like Russian. Dante emerged from the house, and everything went still. Even from 2 stories up, I could feel the change in atmosphere, the way everyone seemed to hold their breath. He walked toward the beaten man with measured steps, pulling on black leather gloves with methodical precision. The man spat blood at Dante's feet and said something I couldn't hear. Dante's response was swift and brutal. A punch that sent the man to his knees. Then he grabbed the man's hair, forcing his head back, and spoke quietly. Whatever he said made the man's face contort with terror. One of Dante's men handed him something. A gun. My heart stopped. I must have made a sound because Dante's head snapped up, his eyes finding mine instantly despite the distance and glare on the window. Our gazes locked for an endless moment. Then he handed the gun back to his subordinate and gestured sharply. The men dragged the Russian away, shoving him into one of the SUVs. Dante disappeared into the house. I heard his footsteps on the stairs, quick and purposeful, and barely made it back to the desk before he appeared in the doorway. I told you to stay with Maria. His voice was calm, but there was something underneath it, something that made my skin prickle. I heard noise. And your first instinct was to investigate? He crossed the room in 3 strides, caging me against the desk with his arms. That curiosity will get you hurt, Isabella. What did that man do? The question tumbled out before I could stop it. His eyes searched mine, and for a moment, I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, he touched something that belonged to me. Tried to use it as leverage against my family. What happened to him? He's being taught a lesson about respect. His hand came up to cut my face, gentle, despite the violence I'd just witnessed. This is my world, Kara. There are rules, lines that cannot be crossed. That man crossed them. And if I cross them, something shifted in his expression. A darkness that made my breath catch. You won't. It wasn't a threat. It was absolute certainty. I need you to understand something, he continued, his thumb tracing my cheekbone. You are the most precious thing in this house. More valuable than the art, the cars, the money. All of it means nothing compared to you. But that also means you're the biggest target. Every enemy I have will see you as my weakness. I'm not your anything, I protested weakly. No? His other hand found my waist, pulling me against him. Your pulse races when I'm near. Your breath catches when I touch you. Your body knows the truth even if your mind resists it. I wanted to deny it, but he was right. My traitorous body responded to him in ways that terrified me. Even now, even after seeing him order violence with casual efficiency, something dark and primitive in me was drawn to his power, his absolute control. This is Stockholm Syndrome, I whispered. He laughed, soft and dangerous. We've been married less than 24 hours. Give it time before you diagnose yourself, doctor. His phone rang, shattering the moment. He answered in Italian, his expression hardening as he listened. When he hung up, the tender husband was gone, replaced by the Mafia boss I'd seen in the driveway. I have to go. He pressed his lips to my forehead, lingering for a moment. There's something you need to know. Your stepfather, Marcus. He didn't just owe me money. He stole from me. Tried to sell information about my operations to the Russians. The man you saw outside was his contact. My blood turned to ice. Is he dead? Not yet. The casual way he said it made my stomach churn. His fate depends on you. What? Your cooperation. Your acceptance of this marriage. Your behavior as my wife. He straightened his tie, checking his reflection in the window. Marcus is safe as long as you're here. As long as you're mine. But if you run, if you try to involve the authorities, if you do anything to embarrass or betray this family, he didn't need to finish. The threat was clear. That's blackmail. That's motivation. He headed for the door, then paused. There's a gala tomorrow night, our first public appearance as husband and wife. Maria will help you prepare. I won't pretend to be happy about this. He turned back, and the look in his eyes sent heat pooling in my belly despite my fear. You won't have to pretend. By tomorrow night you'll understand what it means to be Mrs. Dante Moretti. The power it carries. The doors it opens. His smile was predatory, the pleasure it brings. Then he was gone, leaving me shaking against the desk. The next evening arrived with the inevitability of a death sentence. I'd spent the day being transformed by a team of professionals Dante had sent. Hairstylists, makeup artists, a manicurist who tugged at my bitten nails. They worked on me like I was a canvas, creating something beautiful and expensive looking that bore little resemblance to the diner waitress I'd been just 2 days ago. The dress had arrived that morning in a box so pristine I was afraid to touch it. Scarlet red, because of course he would choose red, the color of blood, of passion, of danger. It hugged every curve before falling in elegant waves to the floor, with a slit that reached mid-thigh and a neckline that managed to be both modest and sensual. Diamond earrings that probably cost more than most people's houses. A matching bracelet that felt heavy as handcuffs. "You look like a queen," Maria said, stepping back to admire the full effect. I looked like his possession, branded in designer clothes and jewels, marked as clearly as if he'd put his name on my skin. The door opened without a knock. Only Dante did that. Walked into rooms like he owned not just the space, but the air itself. He stopped mid-stride when he saw me, something flickering across his face that might have been surprise or satisfaction or hunger. Maybe all three. He wore a tuxedo that had been tailored to worship every line of his body, the black fabric making his dark eyes seem even more intense. His hair was styled back, revealing the sharp angles of his face, and I hated how my stomach fluttered at the sight of him. "Stunning," he murmured, circling me slowly, drinking in every detail. Though something's missing. From his pocket, he pulled a velvet box. Inside lay a necklace that made my breath catch, a collar of diamonds with a blood-red ruby at its center, large as a quail's egg. "Turn around." I obeyed, hating myself for it, feeling the cool weight of the necklace settle against my throat. His fingers brushed my nape as he fastened the clasp, and I shivered. Perfect. His hand settled on my shoulders, and I met his eyes in the mirror. "Now everyone will know exactly who you belong to. Is that what this is about? Marking your territory?" His reflection smiled, dangerous and amused, among other things. "The families will be watching tonight, looking for weakness, for any sign that our marriage isn't legitimate. Because it isn't." His hands tightened slightly. "It's as legitimate as it needs to be. And tonight, you'll play the part of the devoted wife. Or what? You'll hurt Marcus? Marcus is the least of your concerns tonight." He turned me to face him, one hand cupping my jaw. "The men who'll be at this gala, they're not all friends. Some would love nothing more than to use you against me, to see if they can crack my control. If you give them any indication that you're unwilling, that you're a weakness, they'll what? Kidnap me? Kill me?" The words came out more bitter than frightened. "Worse." His thumb traced my lower lip, and I fought not to react. "They'll test me, challenge my claim, and I'll have to respond in ways that will make yesterday's display in the driveway look like mercy." The car ride to the gala was silent, except for the soft classical music playing through the speakers. Dante sat beside me, his hand possessively on my thigh, thumb tracing absent patterns through the fabric of my dress. 2 cars of guards followed us, and I wondered if this was my life now. Never going anywhere without an armed escort, never being alone, never being free. The venue was a mansion that made Dante's look modest. White marble columns, crystal chandeliers visible through towering windows, valets in red jackets scrambling to attend to the parade of luxury cars arriving. When our driver opened the door, Dante emerged first, then turned to help me out, every inch the attentive husband. "Smile," he murmured against my ear. "We're being watched." Indeed, heads turned as we entered, conversations pausing mid-sentence. Men in tuxedos worth more than cars, women dripping in jewels that could fund small countries, and all of them looking at us, at me, with expressions that ranged from curiosity to calculation to barely concealed envy. "Dante!" A booming voice called out. A heavy-set man with silver hair approached, his smile not reaching his eyes. "And this must be the mysterious bride. We were all so surprised to hear about your sudden nuptials, Vincent." Dante's voice was cordial, but cool. "May I present my wife, Isabella?" Vincent took my hand, pressing his lips to it in an old-fashioned gesture that made my skin crawl. His eyes traveled over me with an appreciation that felt like violation. Exquisite, though I must say, rather unexpected. We all thought you'd choose from within the families. "I chose perfection," Dante replied smoothly, his arm sliding around my waist, pulling me against his side. "Background is irrelevant when you find the right woman. Of course." Vincent's smile turned sharp, though I heard there was some unpleasantness with her stepfather. Marcus Chen, wasn't it? ugly business stealing from you. I felt Dante's body tense, though his expression remained pleasant. Family matters are complicated, but Marcus's debts are settled now. Indeed. How fortunate for him. Vincent's eyes found mine. You must love your husband very much, my dear, to take on his world so suddenly. Before I could respond, Dante's grip tightened in warning. She's adjusting beautifully, aren't you, Kara? Yes. The word came out steady despite my racing heart. Dante has been very patient with me. Vincent laughed, but it sounded like breaking glass. Patient. Not a word often associated with Dante Moretti. You must bring out the best in him. Or the worst, another voice interjected. A younger man approached, perhaps early 30s, with cold blue eyes and a smile that reminded me of a shark. Depending on one's perspective. Nikolai. Dante's voice dropped to something dangerous. I didn't expect to see you here. Your wife is enchanting enough to merit an exception to our usual avoidance. Nikolai's accent was distinctly Russian, and suddenly I understood. This was connected to the man from yesterday, the one who'd been bloodied in our driveway. Isabella, isn't it? Such a lovely name, very traditional. Thank you. I managed, though every instinct screamed danger. I knew your stepfather, Nikolai continued, ignoring Dante's darkening expression. We did business together, before his unfortunate lapse in judgment, of course. That business is concluded, Dante said flatly. Is it? Nikolai's smile widened. Marcus promised me certain information. Information that was never delivered. Perhaps his beautiful stepdaughter knows something about it. I don't know anything about Marcus's business, I said quickly. No? How disappointing. Nikolai stepped closer, and I felt Dante shift, positioning himself slightly in front of me. Though perhaps with the right encouragement. You might remember something. That's enough. Dante's voice could have frozen hell. My wife knows nothing about Chen's dealings. And even if she did, she's under my protection now. Untouchable. Everything is touchable, Moretti. For the right price. The tension was suffocating. I could feel the room watching, waiting to see what would happen. Then Dante laughed, soft and lethal. True. But the price for touching what's mine is one you can't afford to pay. His hand found the small of my back. If you'll excuse us, my wife wanted to dance. He guided me away before Nikolai could respond, leading me onto the dance floor where other couples swayed to a live orchestra. His hand found my waist, the other capturing mine, and suddenly we were moving, the world blurring around us. You did well, he murmured, pulling me closer than was strictly proper. But Nikolai is dangerous. Stay away from him. Gladly. He's terrifying. Good. Fear will keep you safe. He spun me elegantly, then pulled me back against his chest. Though not all threats are so obvious. As if to prove his point, a woman approached as the song ended. Tall, devastatingly beautiful, with rich black hair and a white dress that left little to imagination. She looked at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. Dante, she purred, completely ignoring me. I heard the news. How surprising. Valentina. His voice was carefully neutral, but I felt the tension in his body. She finally deigned to look at me, her smile sharp as a blade. So you're the little nobody who finally caught him. How interesting. I wouldn't have thought you were his type. My type evolved, Dante said coldly. Did it? Or were you just tired of waiting? She stepped closer, her perfume overwhelming, something expensive and sophisticated that made me feel like a child playing dress-up. We both know this marriage is just business. When you're done with your little experiment. My marriage is none of your concern. Dante's voice could have cut diamond. What we had is over. Has been for 2 years. Has it? She traced a finger down his chest, and I saw red. Without thinking, I stepped between them, my hand covering hers, stopping its descent. Yes, I said, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. It has. And if you touch my husband again, we're going to have a problem. Valentina's eyes widened, then narrowed dangerously. You think you can threaten me? You have no idea who I am, what family I come from. I know you're someone who doesn't understand the word no. I felt Dante's hand on my waist, whether in warning or support, I couldn't tell. And I know you're embarrassing yourself. For a moment, I thought she might slap me. Then she laughed, cold and bitter. You won't last a month. When he gets bored, and he will. Remember that I tried to warn you. She stalked off, leaving us in a bubble of whispers and stares. Dante turned me to face him, something unreadable in his expression. That was unexpected. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. You were perfect. He pulled me against him, his lips finding my ear. Valentina needed to understand her place. And you just showed everyone here that you're not some weak girl I can control. But you do control me, do I? His hand slid lower on my back, pressing me closer. You just stood up to one of the most powerful women in this room, for me. That didn't look like control, it looked like choice. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He checked it, frowning. We need to leave. What's wrong? Marcus has done something stupid. He was already guiding me toward the exit, his body language shifting from husband to predator. Something that requires immediate attention. The ride home was tense, Dante on his phone speaking rapid Italian, his free hand gripping mine perhaps harder than he realized. When we pulled up to the mansion, he turned to me. Go inside. Lock your bedroom door. No matter what you hear, don't come out until I come for you. Dante, what? Promise me. His eyes burned into mine. Whatever happens tonight, whatever you hear, you stay in that room. I nodded, fear creeping up my spine. He kissed my forehead, a gesture that was becoming familiar, then disappeared into the house, calling for his men. I did as he said, locking myself in the bedroom, but I couldn't shut out the sounds that followed. Shouting, car doors, and then, terrifyingly, gunshots. Multiple gunshots. I pressed myself against the door, heart hammering, as footsteps pounded up the stairs. The doorknob rattled. Isabella. Dante's voice, rough and urgent. Open the door. I fumbled with the lock, yanking it open. He stood there, his tuxedo jacket gone, his white shirt splattered with blood. Are you hurt? It's not mine. He pulled me against him, crushing me to his chest. Marcus tried to run, led the Russians straight here. They thought they could take you while I was distracted at the gala. Is Marcus dead? Yes. No emotion in the word. He made his choice. I should have felt something. Grief, horror, loss, but all I felt was numb and safe. Safe in the arms of the man who just killed my stepfather. The days following Marcus's death blurred together like watercolors in rain. I waited for grief to arrive, for tears that never came. Instead, I felt hollow, moving through Dante's mansion like a ghost in designer clothing. My mother called twice. Both times I lied with frightening ease, telling her Marcus had returned to Hong Kong for business, that everything was wonderful in my new job overseas. Dante watched me constantly, those dark eyes tracking my every movement when he was home. He'd arrive at unexpected hours, sometimes at dawn, smelling of gunpowder and smoke, sometimes in the afternoon with blood under his fingernails that he'd scrub away in the sink while I pretended not to notice. He never spoke about his work, but the evidence of it clung to him like a second skin. A week after the gala, I woke to find him sitting in the chair beside my bed, still in yesterday's clothes, just watching me sleep. That's disturbing, I mumbled, pulling the covers higher. You were crying in your sleep. His voice was rough with exhaustion. Calling for your father. Your real father. I sat up slowly, memories of the dream fading like smoke. He died when I was 15. Heart attack at his desk, working overtime to pay for my school. Tell me about him. It was the first time he'd asked about my life before. Why? Because you're my wife. I should know these things. Your wife, I repeated bitterly. Your prisoner, you mean. His jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. Tell me anyway. So I did. About my father's gentle hands and terrible jokes, about Sunday pancakes and fixing cars together in the garage, about how he'd called me his little star and promised I'd go to college, be more than he'd been. The words poured out like water from a broken dam, and Dante listened without interrupting, his expression unreadable. He would have hated this, I finished. what I've become. You've become my wife, protected, cherished, wealthy beyond imagination. Dante leaned forward, elbows on his knees. He would have wanted you safe. Safe. I laughed, sharp and bitter. I've seen 3 people die in the past week, Dante. There are bloodstains on the driveway that your men can't quite wash away. That's not safety. You're right. The admission surprised me. My world isn't safe, but you are untouchable within it. No one would dare. Nikolai would dare. That woman, Valentina, would dare. They look at me like I'm a temporary inconvenience. They're wrong. He stood, moving to sit on the bed beside me. I should have shifted away, but I was tired of running from him in a house I couldn't leave. You're permanent, Isabella. The sooner everyone understands that, the safer we'll all be. Why? The question I'd been afraid to ask finally escaped. Why me? You could have married someone from your world, someone who understood it. His hand found my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone with that gentleness that contrasted so sharply with his capacity for violence. I first saw you 8 months ago. You were working a double shift at the diner, dead on your feet, and this drunk customer grabbed you. Do you remember? I did. A handsy businessman who wouldn't take no for an answer. You poured hot coffee in his lap. Dante continued, a smile playing at his lips. Then you told him that if he touched you again, you'd make sure he'd never father children. You had no backup, no protection, but you stood your ground. You were there? Having coffee at the counter, I watched you handle him, then go right back to work like nothing happened. Strong, fearless, beautiful. His hand slid to my throat, fingers resting against my pulse. I knew then that I had to have you, so you stalked me, arranged for Marcus to meet my mother, to get close to us. I created an opportunity. Marcus's debts were real. His betrayal was real. I simply guided circumstances. You manipulated everything. I acquired what I wanted. No apology, no shame. And now I have you. You have my body here. That's not the same as having me. His eyes darkened, and suddenly I was on my back, Dante above me, his weight pressing me into the mattress. No? Your pulse races when I'm near. Your breath catches when I touch you. Even now, you're not pushing me away. He was right. I should have been fighting, screaming, doing anything but lying there with my heart hammering and heat pooling low in my belly. That's biology, not choice. Everything is choice, Kara. His lips brushed my throat, and I arched involuntarily. Choose to stop fighting this. Choose to accept what you already know, that you belong here, with me. His phone rang, shattering the moment. He cursed in Italian, rolling away to answer. The conversation was brief, tense. When he hung up, the heat in his eyes had been replaced by cold fury. I have to go. There's a situation at the warehouse. What kind of situation? The kind you don't need to know about. He stood, straightening his clothes. I'll be back late. Don't wait up. But I did wait. I sat in the library, trying to read while straining to hear every car that passed, every footstep in the house. When he finally returned at 3 a.m, I was curled in one of the leather chairs, a book forgotten in my lap. He stopped in the doorway, surprised to find me there. His shirt was different from the one he'd left in, and there was a bandage peeking out from his collar. You're hurt. It's nothing. It's not nothing if you needed a bandage. I stood, moving toward him before I could stop myself. Let me see. Isabella. Let me see. He stood still as I unbuttoned his shirt, revealing a gauze pad taped to his shoulder. Blood had seeped through in spots. My fingers ghosted over the edges of the bandage. Knife or bullet? Knife. The bullet missed. The bullet. My voice cracked. Someone shot at you. It happens. He caught my hands as they started to shake. This is my life, Kara. This is what you need to understand. Every day, someone wants me dead. Every night could be my last. Then why? Tears I hadn't shed for Marcus finally came, hot and angry. Why drag me into this? Why make me care if you're just going to get yourself killed? You care? I hate you, I said. But even I could hear the lie in it. I hate what you've done to me, what you've made me become, but I don't want you dead. He pulled me against him, mindful of his shoulder, and I let him. Let him hold me while I cried. For my old life, for Marcus, despite everything. For the girl I'd been who'd never have imagined ending up here. I can't let you go. He murmured into my hair. I thought I could keep you at arm's length, safe but separate. But every day, every hour, I want you more, need you more. That's not love. That's obsession. With you, they're the same thing. The next morning I woke in my own bed with no memory of how I'd gotten there. A note on the nightstand in Dante's elegant script. Had to leave early. Stay in the house today. Important visitors coming. I should have listened. Should have stayed in my room like a good prisoner wife. Instead, I wandered downstairs around noon, restless and angry at being ordered around like a child. The visitors were already there, 5 men in expensive suits seated around the dining table with Dante at the head. They all looked up when I entered, and the conversation died instantly. Isabella. Dante's voice was carefully controlled. You should be resting. I'm not tired. I met his gaze steadily, then looked at his guests. I'm sorry to interrupt. One of the men, older with silver temples, smiled warmly. No interruption at all. We've been eager to meet Dante's mysterious bride. I'm Salvatore Ricci. I knew that name. Even someone as removed from this world as I'd been knew the Ricci name. They were old power, established, the kind of family that had judges and senators in their pocket. Please, join us, Salvatore continued, gesturing to an empty chair. We were just discussing territories. She doesn't need to, Dante started. I'd love to. I sat down, ignoring Dante's warning look. If I was trapped in this world, I might as well understand it. The conversation resumed cautiously, dancing around specifics but painting a clear picture. Territory disputes, shipment routes, protection percentages. It was business stripped of euphemism, and these men discussed it like any corporate board meeting. Except their hostile takeovers involved actual hostility. The Russians are becoming a problem, one of the younger men said. Nikolai, specifically. He's pushing into the harbor district. Let him push, Dante replied. He'll overextend, and then we'll cut him off at the knees. Unless he comes for you directly, Salvatore observed, his eyes flicking to me. He seemed quite interested in your wife at the gala. Nikolai knows better than to touch what's mine. Does he? His father might have, but the boy is reckless, and with Marcus's connection to them... Marcus is dead. Dante's voice was flat. That connection is severed, but his stepdaughter lives. This from another man, thin and sharp-featured, and she might know things. Passwords, account numbers, details Marcus shared. I don't know anything, I said firmly. The thin man studied me with calculating eyes. Perhaps not consciously, but information has a way of surfacing under the right pressure. The temperature in the room dropped. Dante's hand moved to the table, and I noticed everyone else tense. Are you threatening my wife, Paolo? Not at all. I'm simply pointing out that others might see her as a source of information. It would be safer for everyone if we could be certain she knows nothing of value. The only thing anyone needs to know, Dante said softly, dangerously, is that Isabella is under my protection. Anyone who thinks to test that protection will learn why the Moretti name still carries weight in this city. Of course. Salvatore intervened smoothly. No one here questions your claim, Dante. We're simply concerned for your safety, both of you. The meeting ended soon after, the men filing out with polite goodbyes that felt like threats. When we were alone, Dante turned to me, fury radiating from every line of his body. What were you thinking? I was thinking I'm tired of being kept in the dark. If I'm going to die because of your world, I'd at least like to understand why. He moved so fast I didn't have time to react, pressing me against the wall, his hands on either side of my head. You're not going to die. You can't promise that. I can. I will. I'll burn this entire city down before I let anyone hurt you. And when they come for you, when the next knife is aimed better, when the bullet doesn't miss, then you run. You take the money I've set aside, the new identity I've prepared, and you disappear. I stared at him. You've planned for your death? I've planned for every contingency. His hand cupped my face, including the one where you might need to live without me. I don't want... I stopped, horrified at what I'd almost said. Don't want what? His eyes searched mine. Say it. I don't want to live without you. The admission tasted like defeat. I hate you for making me feel this way, for making me need you when you could be gone tomorrow. I'm not going anywhere. He kissed me then, hard and desperate. And I kissed him back with all the frustration and fear and unwanted desire of the past weeks. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. But if I do, you'll be the richest widow in the state, free to do whatever you want. Except I'll never be free, will I? Even if you die, I'll still be Dante Moretti's widow. That will follow me forever. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of learning the rhythm of Dante's violence, the schedule of his darkness. He would leave at dawn sometimes, returning with bruised knuckles and exhaustion written in every line of his body. Other nights, he would conduct business in his study, and I would hear raised voices. Sometimes the sound of flesh meeting flesh when someone disappointed him. I stopped flinching at the bloodstains, stopped questioning the late-night disposals, stopped pretending I didn't know what the man I'd married really was. What frightened me most was how easy it became. The morning everything changed started like any other. Dante was gone before sunrise, leaving only the lingering scent of his cologne and a note saying he'd be back by afternoon. I was in the garden, trying to find peace among the roses, when Maria rushed out, her face pale. "Mrs. Moretti, you need to come inside. Now." The urgency in her voice had me moving before I could question it. Inside, the house was in chaos. Men with guns at every window, others speaking rapidly into phones. Roberto, Dante's right hand, appeared at my side. "What's happening?" Nikolai made his move. "He has Mr. Moretti." The world tilted. "What do you mean he has him?" "Ambush at the restaurant. 3 of our men are dead. Mr. Moretti was taken." Roberto's face was grim. "Nikolai is demanding you in exchange for his life." "Then give him what he wants." "Mrs. Moretti, give him what he wants." The words tore from my throat. "Where is he?" Roberto hesitated, then handed me a phone. "He's waiting for your call." My hand shook as I dialed the number on the screen. Nikolai answered on the second ring. "Ah, the beautiful Isabella. I wondered how long it would take. Where is he?" "Safe, for now, though he's somewhat less pretty than when you last saw him." I heard a sound in the background, a grunt of pain that made my blood run cold. "He's quite stubborn, your husband. Refuses to give me what I want." "What do you want?" "The accounts." Marcus promised me access to certain offshore accounts belonging to the Moretti family, numbers and passwords he claimed to have hidden. "I believe he gave them to you." "He didn't give me anything." "No?" "Perhaps you need motivation." There was movement, muffled voices, then Dante's voice, rough and pained. "Isabella, don't." The sound of impact cut him off, and I bit my lip hard enough to draw blood. "Stop, please. I'll come. I'll give you whatever you want." "I thought you might say that." Nikolai's satisfaction oozed through the phone. "The abandoned warehouse on Pier 47. Come alone. 1 hour. If I see any of Moretti's men, if you're late, if you try anything clever, well, let's just say your husband won't need to worry about those territorial disputes anymore." The line went dead. Roberto was already shaking his head. "You can't go. Mr. Moretti would never. Mr. Moretti is going to die if I don't." I moved past him, heading for the door, but he caught my arm. "This is a trap. Nikolai will kill you both, maybe, but doing nothing definitely gets Dante killed." I yanked free. "I'm going." "Then we're coming with you." He said alone. "We'll stay back, hidden, but you're not walking into this completely unprotected." Roberto pulled out his phone, barking orders in Italian. "Can you shoot?" "What?" He pressed a small gun into my hand. "Point and squeeze. Don't hesitate. In our world, hesitation gets you killed." The weight of it was heavier than I expected. Everything about this moment was heavier than I expected. Pier 47 looked like something from a nightmare. Abandoned warehouses stretched along the waterfront, their broken windows like dead eyes. The one Nikolai had specified sat at the end, isolated, with too many points of entry and nowhere to run except into the harbor. I walked in alone, the gun hidden in my coat pocket, my heart hammering so hard I was sure everyone could hear it. The warehouse was vast and dark, filled with shadows and the sound of water lapping against the pier outside. Right on time. Nikolai emerged from the darkness, flanked by 4 men. "Though I see you didn't quite follow instructions." Moretti's men are scattered around the building like cockroaches. Where is he? Nikolai gestured, and his men dragged Dante forward. He was conscious, but barely, blood running from a cut above his eye, his usually pristine suit torn and stained. They'd bound his hands behind his back, and he swayed on his feet, but his eyes found mine immediately. "You shouldn't have come," he said, voice hoarse. "Shut up," I whispered. Then louder to Nikolai. "Let him go. I'm here, like you wanted. First, the account information." "I told you Marcus didn't give me anything." Nikolai sighed theatrically. "I was afraid you'd say that." He pulled out